Guys, welcome to Munich, sunny Munich today. I'm here with Sean from Precision Sport Industries. We're doing this road trip together, not only to enjoy this beautiful country and seeing some Euro Cup matches, but also to spend some time with our friends at BMW Group Classic. They have a lot of things in their vault, and we're going to see some special cars today, Sean, right?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. They have a lot of collection here from BMW's history. We're going to get to sort of feature some of the technology that BMW has put in some of these cars.
So if I were to tease you right now, guys, I can tell you that we're going to see a BMW Z3 with a V12 engine. We're going to see a 7 Series with an M1 engine. And of course, some other surprises here. So it should be a pretty fun day today.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Gonna go take a look?
Let's go.
Let's do it. So let's see what we have here, because this is not your grandma's typical Z3 Roadster. It's a BMW Z3 Roadster E36 with a V12 engine. It was only shown in 1999 when the German magazine Auto Zeitung wanted to do something special and different, and the idea was to fit the largest BMW engine into this small car. But speaking about the engine, what do we have under the hood?
This is the M73 V12, which was found in the 750s and 850s of the period.
It made 326 horsepower, about 400 newton meters of torque. And even though it was quite heavy, almost 3,100 pounds, which is about 1,400 kilograms, it went from 0 to 100 kph in 5.5 seconds. Not too bad. Of course, it's probably front heavy, nose heavy. Clearly, you got a big engine, but maybe we want to take a look at that engine. How about that? So maybe we pop up the hood. Let's see if I remember where. I guess on this side somewhere. Yep. I mean, this is a really heavy hood.
Heavy hood, yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at this. I mean, it's amazing how compact it's inside here. I mean, there's almost no space, right, to work around this one.
There's definitely no space because they have some pretty common looking air filter cone filters on the front. There's not even room for air boxes here. One of the things I also wanted to point out is this actually has the 6-speed manual transmission from the 8 Series as well that's been fitted to this. So that's also taken up a ton of room in the transmission tunnel as well. So they've really filled out the Z3 room, and there is none left.
Yeah, I'm talking to BMW earlier today. They also said that they were going to use this engine into a Rolls-Royce. Of course, they use it into the 750i and the E31 850 Ci, I guess, at the time.
Yep.
It's quite impressive. Honestly, probably the engineer that went into this trying to fit this in a car. This shows, you know, the BMW always wanted to use the biggest engine possible in the smallest car. And that's what I kind of miss sometimes, right? Having these really tight bodies with big engines and all of that. And this is why I love my 1M, honestly. You know, tight, compact. It's got a nice 6-cylinder in there, but, you know, a V8 or a V12 would have been cool.
Yeah, and this is really a really cool resto mod from BMW where you put in a larger engine into the body of this car, and they did a great job. It's super clean. This has 2 ECUs to run this motor, which has 2 harnesses, and they've hidden that very well in here, and you can see the 2 large plugs that are over there in the corner. Those plug right into the DME. Just a great job by BMW that really showcases the time and engineering that went into this and making this, even though this was only for internal use and it was an internal study to see if it could be done, but also to practice the cooling and some of the other issues that there would be from putting a V12 into a Z3.
And speaking of issues, you know, we've talked to someone earlier today and they said there were definitely some heating issues and they had to stop every 15 minutes and cool down the ECU with some sprays. Basically, just spray it on and cool it down, because, and that was risky also because it was a one-off ECU as well. So there was the risk there, but that was kind of the only way to really run the car. But nonetheless, it was really used by this German magazine to showcase that particular story. And it's quite cool actually BMW decided to do that just for a car magazine.
Another thing I'll point out is the color, which we really haven't seen on any Z3. Let's go ahead and close the hood and we can talk about the color.
Let's do that slowly. It's really heavy. Anybody from BMW here? No? Okay. It seems to be Kyalami orange, which is something that you use today inside the BMW M3 and M4 as far as combination of the leather.
Yes, and Kyalami is a racetrack we talked about in South Africa. So again, with the color naming always harks back to a track around the world. And this looks like it has the blue interior that you would see in the Z3M. Maybe in an Estoril coupe, it has the blue interior. I love the color combo here. And obviously they were thinking outside the box, not only with the engine, but also with the interior and exterior choice.
I'm actually wondering what these things are right here, and you can come right here and take a look. It doesn't seem to be a standard thing, right? So it seems to be a safety switch or something like that.
Yeah, the EML light is the service light that, because of the communication and the differences with the DME, they needed to have a light that showed up on the dash that would normally not, so they could, you know, definitely check out the car and be able to service it.
I mean, honestly, I would love to take it for a drive. It looks pretty cool. I'm sure it's not as fun as driving as you'd think because of that front you know, and but
Probably. But it's funny because this is shown as a Z3, not as the M Roadster, but it does have M Roadster gauges. It does have an M Roadster-esque interior. And it also has the rear bumper, and it looks like the exhaust, at least just the rear mufflers of an M Roadster, and also the front bumper is M Roadster. So it's a little bit of a combination wanting to keep it with the Z3 name, because this was an M division internal project. So they had a parts bin of all these extra parts that they also included with the V12.
it makes me kind of sad that we have to move on from this car, but there is another cool one to talk about. So how about we move this out, we bring the other one, and then we talk about another very cool engine in another very cool car.
Let's do it. We're going to take you through a quick walk of the rows. Let's see some of the earliest stuff that's in the collection, Ross.
I mean, there are quite a few, right? So it starts from the 30s, of course. You know, a lot of people have seen this already, so no surprise there. And then clearly you have the iconic BMW Roadsters. For the first time, you can see this kidney grill, vertical kidney grill from the 30s. No surprise that BMW is doing it today, so really.
Exactly, and I mean, here we go, from the 30s, the large grills that everyone had controversial statements about for the G80. You see it here first.
Here they are. One of my favorites, of course, the Mille Miglia car. We'll talk about this in a second, so let's just save that,
We'll save that
for that because it's too cool to just go quickly over it.
Yeah,
and then, of course, more Roadsters here.
More 328s.
Another car that we'll take a look. So
We will.
you know,
We'll
hydrogen,
sort of
first
skip over
hydrogen
that.
BMW
Yeah,
car, very
E12.
cool. Second one right here.
E32 7 Series. They have a really neat bower, really neat to see in white.
Quite unique. Of course, you move on to the 2500. You can see here they started to use the shark nose on the car, so you can see this negative angle right there. Of course, we see that on a lot of cars in the 70s and 80s as well. You get more classic cars right here, and you can see how different they are when you look at the front, right? I mean, you have already the double headlamps, which is an iconic BMW thing. You only have the single lamp right here. Of course, you can see the grille, it's quite different. The logos are different as well. They started up small, even different fonts. The bigger BMW fonts right there, but of the overall, you know, car is just completely different. Coach built car by Frau. It's an Italian designer from Turin, and he's built, I think, a couple of BMW one-ups, and that's one of them. Once again, you can still see this shark nose, double headlamps, signature BMW trait.
Having an Italian design with a BMW is some of my favorite combinations of cars that we've seen. It really puts together still the BMW look, but also with the Italian flair.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the side. Honestly, when you look from the side, you can see the clean shapes of an Italian car. Very minimalistic, very simplistic, and that's something that BMW wants to highlight in some of their newer products as well, especially on Munich Classic. They even talked about the new 5 Series having a little bit of Italian flair in there, and you can see it from the side too. And of course, more
neat roadsters, the 3200, and this is the designer.
Michelotti Vinale, another Italian guy. Fantastic car. You can see the type of car that would look great in California, honestly. I mean, it just feels the California landscape.
You can see the size difference. This is actually a late 50s, a 58, and then just 3 years earlier, there's a big body 1955, 505, and 502 here at the end. These are cars you really would not see in the US. This is post-war, really large sedans.
And as you've seen on the badge, it's a 7 Series, but it was also called the M7 that never was. It's the BMW 745i SA, short for South Africa, so it was made specifically for South Africa. I believe 209 units were ever made.
I believe so, and only 17 were made with the manual transmission, this being one of them.
So South Africa is well known for having special edition cars. We've seen some Evo cars. We've also seen a 333i, quite special. There are quite a few R cars as well there. I was actually in South Africa just recently, and I've seen that collection there as well. But tell me what made this particular car quite special.
So in 1984, the 745i was the most powerful 7 Series available. And that's what this started as. They removed that engine and they put in an engine called an M88/3, which was derived from the M1's M88 engine.
And if you don't remember the M1, it's the only BMW supercar ever made. So it was quite cool having a similar engine implemented into this one. What else is special about the 745 SA?
So being from South Africa, it's a right-hand drive edition. These cars also featured a lot of the South African leather here. They tested it on this vehicle, and this leather interior was special for South Africa.
What's even more interesting is the fact that one of those was actually used to race in South Africa in a local championship. So that's quite interesting, especially considering it's still a 7 Series. Right, Sean, so what else is special about this car?
So let me open the hood and I'll show you.
I think there is a unique way to open this one up, right? So it's not
There
even
is.
typical. Okay.
And it's on this side, which is the driver's side for me.
Exactly.
But in South Africa, it's over on the right-hand side. And this has an old-style release on the hood. So the hood sits down, and then you actually pull and release the lever,
Okay.
which is there. You just need to lift it on that side.
That's it?
Yep, and it lifts up.
Very cool. All right, so tell me about this engine a little bit more.
So this is the M1 derived M88/3. This is a 10.5 to 1 compression motor, and it fits in the same packaging as the motor that came out, because the 745 engine of the time was an M30 turbo, which took up a lot of the engine bay, and this fits just right in the 7 Series.
Let's close it up and tell me what else you think it's cool and unique on this car.
I would say the BBS Molle wheels is unique for the time. Also the color, and then I touched on the interior, but this has a full leather dash inside, which I noticed. Let's go ahead and open it up and show everyone the inside.
All right, sounds good. You don't often get to see this, especially with a 6-speed manual. It's even got the M logo on the shifter.
Yeah, and I will say that this reminds me of the E23 L7, which stood for leather in the States, where they took some of the N models, E23s, and they covered every single finish with leather. And this looks like the same, because even the roof is leather, the full dash, the full door cards, the center console. That was unique too, because not many cars got that full leather treatment. I think the only thing I can think of is an L7 or maybe E28 M5.
Very, very interesting. Yep, so now let's take a look at some motorsport things, because of course, Formula One has been part of the BMW history quite a bit, and they've been successful, I guess, in the 80s.
Yeah,
they did
70s,
race.
early 80s.
I mean, let's start with this one, right? So 2004.
Yeah, this is the V10, and this is the facelifted. This is the very controversial look at the time.
It made almost 1,000 horsepower of that V10. Top speed 370 kilometers per hour, and it was driven by Ralf Schumacher. And of course, it was a Williams F1 car. It just makes me so nostalgic about this.
It is, and especially because this was the V10 era, and this is when I really started getting into Formula One. And when I used to watch Formula One, I used to go to Indianapolis, and that's where this car.
And the sound of that car, so
it
good.
Takes your breath away.
So good.
Didn't want to forget about this 1961 700 race car. This is a motorcycle-based engine, very small car. This was really successful for BMW. Nice to see it here first in line in the row of motorsport cars.
And then, of course, you have the iconic BMW BT52, the Brabham car. I mean, a turbo car, absolutely stunning. I think this one was driven, if I remember, by Nelson Piquet, and even won with this one. I mean, completely different, right? When you see them side by side, you can see how the F1 has changed quite a bit. And then, of course, from 2004 till now, completely different cars. They started small, they got bigger, and now they're even bigger than this. Let's move on. Another interesting car, that's the March BMW 792. But then, of course, we get into the cool livery stuff right here. So
this is a Group A car. This is a 2.3 liter from 1987. This is pretty much the most popular, I would say, livery of the E30 M3 Group A cars.
I mean, it raced in DTM, it was quite successful, and it just looks beautiful. I mean, honestly, any angle you look from, it's just absolutely stunning.
It is, and this is what, I based my DTM car that we built at the shop on. It wasn't this livery, but it was a period car.
So moving to the E36 generation already, right? Another motorsport car. It's got the FINA, logo on it already. Of course, there are quite a few FINA cars. It's a 318i. I believe this one also raced in DTM, if I remember correctly, but yeah,
this is the Johnny Ciccato car from 1994. This is the 4-cylinder based race cars. I think these were raced DTM and also BTCC in the UK. Matching liveries here, but also 2 different periods.
Exactly. And then, of course, we get to the iconic BMW 3.0 CSL. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's such an iconic car. It doesn't need a lot of introduction. I mean, it just looks stunning. Just look at this. Of course, you have that massive wing in the back, which was on the road car as well. It was not legal. They had to go around the regulations a little bit. So it was like a self-install type of thing. It came with the
Batmobile style. All the aerodynamics came in the trunk when you bought a CSL late model Batmobile, and then you had to put them on yourself, basically, based on this race car.
And this is the first time that we're also using the BMW logo and the BMW colors on it. So you can see the colors right here. There's a whole history behind these colors. People think that it came from, Texaco and all of that, but it's really a combination of the Bavarian colors and all of that. But
from the flag or the seal, I believe.
Exactly, yeah. So it was a combination of, I think the story was they were trying to sign, I think Texaco was a sponsor, so they were using one of their colors, but then used the Bavarian color blue also, and then the red just came all together. So it wasn't really a brainstorming session. It just kind of all fit together, and it just became this iconic BMW M colors. This is the winning BMW M3 DTM driven by Bruno Spengler, E92
base chassis. And these DTMs just are crazy, again, kind of like F1, where the regulations dictate the look of all of these cars. This is from 2012. It's about 350 horsepower, all carbon body.
With that being said, it's been quite an eventful day, quite a long day. I guess there were a lot more cars we could have talked about here, right? We've seen so many unique cars. They come in and out quite often here. I mean, they change the cars, based on what they want to feature once in a while. But honestly, the ones that we feature today, I think they're quite amazing. But if you were to choose one, which one would be your favorite from what we've seen today, featured in the video or not?
I think one of my favorites is probably the Mille Miglia car.
Mille Miglia one, huh?
The
Any reason
1940.
why?
I just love the aluminum skin that it has, and just the focus on lightweight of the seats, and just it's built for one purpose, to win that race.
I guess I'll go with the Z3 Roadster. Seeing that V12 in there, it's quite an amazing engineering achievement because, it's really not easy to fit that big engine in that tight space in there. So very cool day. I'm glad you joined me. Always fun doing this together. We're going to keep on going with this Euro trip that we have planned. There are a few more things coming out. Of course, people should follow Precision Sport Industries and Sean Myers on Instagram. We're going to drop those links. There are going to be some reels coming up, some unique, quirks and features. Our cameraman loves that term right there. So we're going to leave that in there, by the way. Well, guys, thanks for watching, and I guess we'll see you in the next one.